Dropping our speed, using our rudder, a little bit power to the engine. Come on. Gauging in a horizontal scissors, and got him. Hello and welcome back on my channel. Today with quite a unique machine, the Finnish Pyörremyrsky. And yes, apparently that's the way you pronounce it. Pyörremyrsky. Which is Finnish and stands for hurricane. Now, the Finnish Air Force up to that point used basically a cobbled together combination of outdated second-hand aircraft. Aircraft like the Brewster Buffalo, the Fiat G50, even a bunch of Dutch Fokker D21s. And while these aircraft were hopelessly outdated for the most part by 1942, some of them were even outdated by 1940, the Finnish pilots somehow managed to get outstanding numbers of kills with these aircraft. If you look at the records, especially the Fiat G50 and the Brewster Buffalo, the pilots that flew them scored huge numbers of kills against the Soviets. Even though these aircraft in their original, in the air forces from the countries where they originated from, had a rather poor record. Especially the Brewster Buffalo, when it entered service with the US Navy in the Pacific, it basically got slaughtered by Zeros. And this caused it to be replaced for the most part by the F4F Wildcat. Now, the Finnish, for some reason, actually managed to be pretty successful with these aircraft, but even they, at some point, had to concede and acknowledge that they need more potent aircraft. And while the Finnish were allied with Germany, they didn't get a lot of Bf-109s until rather late in the war. They got Bf-109 G6s at some point, which they used very successfully, but they still felt the need to develop an indigenous fighter aircraft. The resulting aircraft was known as the VL Pyörremyrsky, an aircraft that we sadly don't have in the game right now. As you can see in the Swedish tech tree, we have the Pyörremyrsky, but not the Myrsky, although I am pretty sure we will see it at some point. Again, while it is in the Swedish tech tree, this is a Finnish aircraft. The Pyörremyrsky used a lot of... wait, we still need to talk about the Myrsky itself. So, the first indigenous fighter was the VL Pyörremyrsky, and it already had some attributes that we would find later in the Pyörremyrsky, that being a mostly wooden construction. And if you remember Finland in the north, they have an abundance of forests, so wood was certainly they had quite a lot of. So they had the resources to produce such a fighter. Now, wood in itself, while it offers, in this case, a great abundance of resources, has a lot of problems. At least in the environment the Pyörremyrsky, or the Myrsky, was intended to be used. Humid and cold climate certainly isn't really beneficial to a wooden construction, and that's why the Finnish had to impregnate the wood with synthetic resin. This is something they would also do in the Pyörremyrsky. Now, the Myrsky also had another big problem, and that is that the aircraft was basically held together by glue. If you remember, the Germans with their TAR-154 used a similar method, and like with the Germans, the glue they used was not of particularly good quality. This resulted in some Myrskys basically stripping themselves of their wooden skin during dives, which certainly isn't good. Now, the Pyörremyrsky uses the same method. It is of wooden construction, at least the wings, and the rear half of the fuselage is, the front of course being metal with the cowling and all that good stuff. And it encountered the same problems with the glue, although thank God it didn't crash or strip itself off its skin. But as it was the same glue practically, it's safe to assume that the problems were still around when the Pyörremyrsky first took to the air. Now, the Pyörremyrsky uses the same DB605 engine as the BF-109G. It also has the same spinner, and I think parts of the landing gear are also from the BF-109. However, unlike in the BF-109, it has a pretty wide track. This results in the aircraft being much more easy to start and land compared to the BF-109, which was known for shearing out during start and landing. It was armed with one MG1 5120 20mm cannon in the nose, firing through the prop hub in the same arrangement as in the BF-109, and two 12.7mm LKK-42 machine guns, which I think is a licensed version of the 13.2mm FN Browning and not the regular 50 cal. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, and with that it is rather well armed. In general, there really isn't that much known about this aircraft. There was only one build. It still exists today, by the way, in the Finnish Air Force Museum. And it never entered production. The single prototype was tested after the war. It first took to the air in September 45. So, when the war has already ended. And by that time, the Finnish already had a number of BF-109 G6s in service, and the need for the Pyörremyrsky basically wasn't there anymore. This is why it never entered production. Or, well, it's the main reason it never entered production. Compared to the BF-109G, it was flown in a test against it. The Pyörremyrsky was found to be more maneuverable, it could climb better than the BF-109 G6, and was similarly fast. We see here a top speed of 620 km per hour, which is certainly not bad. This aircraft certainly wasn't a slouch. The Pyörremyrsky was somewhat heavier than the BF-109 G6 and a little bit larger, but thanks to its pretty big wing area, it had a lighter wing loading of around 174 kilograms per square meter, which is comparable to a BF-109F. And as we all know, the F probably was the best turning variant of the BF-109 G6 of the BF-109 series. So it really isn't a wonder. It's not difficult to see how the Pyörremyrsky was able to outturn the BF-109 G6. And I have to be completely honest with you guys. Before this thing was introduced into War Thunder, I've never even heard about it. This is an aircraft that totally slipped my radar. I mean, I do know some pretty rare aircraft, like for example the Icarus S-49, which I'm desperately hoping for. We get it here in War Thunder at some point. But the Pyörremyrsky completely went under my radar. Which is a shame, because this really is quite an interesting aircraft. In its test flights, it was flown by 8 different pilots. And after the testing phase ended, it practically was relegated to museum status, where it can still be seen today in Finland. So much for the history of this machine. It really isn't that much, but yeah, as said, there really isn't that lot of literature about this aircraft either, so getting information on it is not that easy. Ed Nash's Military Matters made an excellent video about this aircraft, and I'd highly recommend checking out his channel. I'll put a link in the description of the video so you can take a look for yourself. Now, for the aircraft in-game, the Pyörremyrsky sits at a battle rating of 4.3 in the Swedish tech tree. It's a premium aircraft. You can see here the rewards down there. To the modules, we see here the German Daimler-Benz DB605 engine, the layout being the same as in the BF-109G, with the 20mm MG151 firing through the propeller hub. Here are the two LKK-42 machine guns. A fuel tank located directly behind the pilot. The wings, as you can see, carry no armament, nor do they carry any fuel tanks, which means the wings are pretty light. There is no unnecessary weight in them. It's not armored very much. It only has these 10mm plates behind the pilot, and that's about it. So this really is quite a light fighter. It was only, I think, 200 or 300 kilograms heavier than the Bf-109, and the Bf-109 is a pretty light aircraft. So this is certainly not a heavyweight, at least not in terms of its mass. Now, for the modifications, you first want to research all the performance modifications, then get over either to the survivability modifications or the armament. I personally would take the armament first because the 20mm belts are pretty crap. Until you unlock the air target belts, which is insanely good because it carries the German 20mm Minengeschoss ammunition. A Minengeschoss is practically a shell, a finned down shell, or should I say a shell with a finned down wall that carries much more explosive mass than a regular shell, and this results in this shell being extremely destructive. You also want to take the air target belts for the 12.7mm machine guns. Yeah. The aircraft is able to carry bombs, but they are only small ones, so you can generally disregard these modifications. Take these one at the end, get the performance mods first, then the armament, then the survivability mods, and the bombs at last. Now taking this aircraft for a quick test flight. In its handling, the Pyörremyrsky basically is, yeah, it's almost the same as the Bf-109F. Both of these aircraft fly extremely similarly. We will see this short enough when I've built enough speed and height and demonstrate how this aircraft behaves in the air. And we're now at altitude, maybe a little bit too high, but well. Well, let's first take a look about the Pyörremyrsky's roll rate. At 450 km per hour, we can see that this aircraft's roll rate is mediocre. It's practically the same as in the Bf-109F. Its turn radius is pretty good. As you can see, the sustained turn rate at around 480 km per hour is very good actually. You can increase this with the use of flaps, especially at low speeds, and the flaps are pretty strong. I think at around 500 km per hour. So definitely not bad. The Pyörremyrsky is also pretty decent in a dive, but it is pretty difficult to pull it out of it. So keep that in mind, don't dive too low to the ground, and you need to start pulling up a little bit earlier than in the Bf-109. We are now at 800 km per hour, and yeah, we can see that it tends to lock up pretty bad. Not as bad as in the Key 61, but it certainly is noticeable. Up to around 650 km per hour, this thing is pretty much very well controllable. As you can see, at around 500 km per hour, this thing turns the best, probably. Or at least that's my experience. So, in all intents and purposes, it flies exactly as the Bf-109 F4 in terms of its general use. There might be some parameters that are different, but for the most part, you can fly it in the same way as the German BF. Unlike the Bf-109, the armament is actually a bit better. these 12.7mm machine guns hit like a truck. They are really powerful, and the 20mm MG150-120 definitely needs no introduction. This is one of the most destructive 20mm cannons in the game. That said, the muzzle velocity of the 15120 is not the best. The 50 cals are much better suited for sniping than the 20mm is. So keep that in mind. The trajectory is not exactly the same. Yeah. So much for a quick overview of this aircraft's capabilities. I'd say we go back to the hangar. Now, one last thing we need to talk about before we jump into the gameplay is the repair cost of the Pyörremyrsky. This thing is cheap as chips to run, a max repair cost of 3,200 silver lions, and with its premium status, this aircraft is a great moneymaker at rank 3. You can also research aircraft from pretty much down low up to rank 4 with ease, and if you want to research up to rank 5 and later aircraft, then I'd suggest getting either the B-49G6 or for the jets, either the J-29D or the J-35A. The J-29D, pretty good aircraft, not the best but certainly usable. The J-35A, I don't have it right now, but I'm gonna get it myself pretty soon because I really want to see what that thing can do. But yeah, for mid-tier stuff, definitely get the Pyörremyrsky. This thing is great, and I'm going to demonstrate right now why that is. So let's jump into the first match. Here on Ladoga with the VL Pyörremyrsky. And we are in, I think we are top tier. Yeah, certainly seems so. Well, how to fly the Pyörremyrsky? Pretty much you fly it exactly as the B-109F, except that you don't dive it to the same speeds as the 109F. Oh great, and we are up against the Japanese. Oh, this will be not... yeah. The Japanese are this plane's biggest enemy probably, because they pretty much all turn better than you. And some of them even outspeed you. The J2M we just saw there particularly is an incredibly dangerous opponent. Its wing loading is pretty much the same, actually slightly less than a Pyörremyrsky. And it has a pretty powerful engine, so it certainly can outturn you. We need to be careful in this match. Nevertheless, we are a potent little aircraft here. Oh god, what? It's only the BV-238. Fuck wolf. Yeah, and go up, loop around. That's the position I want to be in. Key 43. God damn it, how did he survive that? Okay, this looks good. Oh, no. You ain't gonna get me. Come on. It's gonna run out of energy pretty soon. And we are trying to finish him off. Yeah. It's a Key 43 and probably won't put the fire out. Oh, yes. Suffered a hit, not that bad, nothing too serious. The team seems pretty much... I don't know. Can I get him? Ah! Only critical. Yeah, we are using our superior energy. Heading out here. The Pyörremyrsky not with the best ammunition loadout. Oh, should say ammo count. We don't have that much ammunition for the 20mm, and for the 50 cals it's also not all too much, only 200 rounds each. And we're heading in. We are concentrating our use this time as an energy fighter. The Hellcat? Nope. We're taking the LA5. Nah, no, 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 no. God damn it. Yep. 2 versus 1. We are not taking a direct dogfight. And my team is proving itself to be pretty much completely useless. Yes! God damn it. The F6F is still on our tail. We certainly should be able to one-on-one him with ease, taking the fight to the vertical as soon as we make the first pass. Dropping our speed, using our rudder, a little bit power to the engine. Come on. Gauging in horizontal scissors, and got him. But now we definitely need to get more ammunition. I'm only pilot on this team that has gotten any more than 1 kill. I am a little bit salty today. My apologies. But really, sometimes there are these days where I think the last matches were like, there was a match where I've gotten 5 kills that I just forgot to record. So that's great. Then another match where I've got like 3 kills and my team was a total waste of space. And we just lost pretty hard. Yeah. The last 5-7 matches were just not very good, and sorry for all the salt. It's just not my day. But yeah, that was a pretty good demonstration of the Pyörremyrsky's capabilities. The plane turns very good. Dropping landing flaps. And down. Oh well, I guess the team wasn't too bad. I mean, we are winning. Yeah, my Swedish crew isn't trained fully. I rarely play the Swedes, to be honest. Well, the Pyörremyrsky is, of course, a Finnish aircraft, not a Swedish one, but it is in the Swedish tech tree, so yeah. And we're back in a perfect situation, you know. Everyone is below us. Well, almost everyone. We can now attack with impunity, but I need to take care of that Key 61 first. This is gonna be difficult. Key 61 and we do have pretty much the same wing loading. Key 61 with a little bit less maybe. But he is slower than us. Nah. Yep. The J2M is looking very juicy down there. Low energy state. We should be able to make quick work of him. Dropping our speed a little bit. This plane likes to lock up above 700. Oh, we are in an up tier. This is J2M3. We are bleeding his energy here. Flaps. Got him. It's not looking all too good. It's not looking all too good. Please let that fuck-off kill that P-51. I need to get some altitude. If I want to engage those zeros. Screw that idea. We are gonna engage the P-51. Don't dive. Please don't dive. Just stay at altitude. Let me take care of him. Where's the zero? There. Now he's running. Yeah. Not gonna follow him. He is faster than us. Great, the 190 has taken down a zero. Wait. Oh, I thought, for a second I thought he'd put the fire out. Well, he has. Oh well, then it's free game. Yeah. Made quick work of him. Legitimate kill. He had put the fire out, so yeah. A zero and a P-51 remaining. I don't have a lot of ammunition. I need to get him close. Get him into a dogfight. At least the P-51 I don't want to dogfight a zero. Gonna boom and zoom him. If possible. And that's zero. Oh, there's another Pyörremyrsky. Come on, get him. Seems like I have to... whatever that was. Yeah, got him as well. And zooming out immediately, trying to conserve as much speed as possible. Yeah, whatever that P-51 has to turn at some point. 3 versus 1. Can I make it? Oh, please don't head me on. I hate going head on. But, well, gonna dive away. Oh, he's got him. Great. Well done. And we have gotten the most kills in an up tier. So, yeah, 3 kills for us. Checking the rewards. Not all too much. Yeah, pretty decent. I mean, we haven't lost anything. Don't have any repair costs, so that's nice. Just checking, what are repair costs again? Yeah, 3,200. This thing is cheap as chips to run. Now, so much for the VL Pyörremyrsky, this time with a little bit of a shorter review than usual, but I think I've explained the history, the gameplay style of this aircraft pretty well. Anyone who is familiar with the Bf-109 F4 will immediately feel at home with the Pyörremyrsky, both aircraft having a very similar BR and a very similar playstyle. I would definitely recommend this bird. This aircraft is unique. It looks unique, it looks beautifully, it flies beautifully, and unlike many of the other mid to late tier premiums in the Swedish tech tree, this is a unique machine. It's not just a copy and pasted version of a regular tech tree aircraft. So it certainly has this kind of value that it is not just a premium version of an existing tech tree machine. Definitely get your hands on it, should you be able to do so. It's not too expensive, and it will certainly reward you with a lot of kills if you know how to fly it. This is a very beginner-friendly aircraft in my opinion. It is practically a jack of all trades, like the 109. It can do everything pretty well, except maybe for ground strike. But if you are like me, you are mostly a fighter pilot anyways, and for that purpose, the Pyörremyrsky is really, really good. Certainly one of the best tier 3 aircraft in the game in my opinion. As said, highly recommended, definitely get it, should you be able to do so. Well, that was it for today. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did so, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. See you in the skies next time.